Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you grew up in the 2000s, chances are you were swept away by the adventures of a certain demigod who discovered he was the son of Poseidon. That's right, we're talking about Percy Jackson. For many of us, the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series wasn't just an epic story. It was our very first introduction to the incredible world of Greek mythology. But have you ever wondered how much of Percy's world is pulled directly from ancient myths, and where the author Rick Riordan took some creative liberties? Today, we're diving deep into the myths behind the magic. We'll separate the ancient truths from the modern twists and see just how brilliantly Riordan brought these timeless stories into the 21st century. So grab your ambrosia and nectar and let's get started. First up, let's talk about the core concept, the demigods. In the books, demigods are the children of a god and a mortal, living in a modern world where they have to hide from monsters. This idea is pure, classic Greek mythology. The ancient stories are filled with heroes who had one divine parent. Think of Heracles, or Hercules as the Romans called him, the son of Zeus and the mortal woman Alcmene. Or Perseus, another son of Zeus, who slayed Medusa. These original demigods were famous for their incredible strength, courage, and sometimes their tragic fates. Riordan takes this ancient concept and gives it a modern home. Camp Half-Blood. This summer camp for demigods is a genius invention. In the old myths, heroes were often on their own, guided occasionally by a god or a mentor. But a whole community where they can train together. That's a Riordan special, creating a sense of belonging and a perfect setting for adventure and friendship. Now, let's look at the gods themselves. The Olympians in Percy Jackson are some of the most memorable characters. We have a dramatic, pinstripe suit-wearing Zeus, a broody Poseidon in Bermuda shorts, and a biker dude Ares. This characterization is where Riordan's creativity truly shines. In the original myths, the gods were powerful and majestic, but they were also deeply flawed. They were vain, jealous, and meddled constantly in human affairs. Zeus was famous for his temper and his many affairs. Hera was known for her vengeful nature, especially towards Zeus's lovers and their children. Riordan captures these core personalities perfectly, but dresses them up for the modern age. Making Poseidon a laid-back beach lover or Hades a misunderstood, goth-like ruler of the underworld makes them instantly relatable and fun. He didn't change their fundamental nature. He just gave them a modern wardrobe and a contemporary attitude, which is a brilliant way to make ancient figures feel fresh and relevant. What about the monsters? The monsters Percy and his friends face are straight out of mythology's greatest hits. The Minotaur, the very first monster Percy defeats, is a direct pull from the myth of Theseus. In the ancient story, the Minotaur was a fearsome beast with the body of a man and the head of a bull, trapped in a labyrinth. The Furies, who attacked Percy at the museum, are also known as the Erinyes in Greek myth. They were terrifying deities of vengeance who pursued those who committed terrible crimes. And of course, there's Medusa, the Gorgon with snakes for hair whose gaze could turn you to stone. Riordan's version, Auntie M's Garden Gnome Emporium, is a creepy and clever modern update to her lair. What Riordan does so well is maintain the terror and danger of these creatures, while placing them in settings we recognize like a bus, a museum, or a roadside diner. This makes the threat feel so much more immediate and real. The idea that monsters can be killed but will eventually reform in Tartarus is also a clever plot device that aligns with the cyclical and eternal nature of the mythological world. Let's journey to some of the locations. The underworld is a key setting in The Lightning Thief, and Riordan's version is a fascinating blend of different mythological accounts. In ancient Greek belief, the underworld wasn't just one place but had several regions. There were the fields of asphodel for ordinary souls, Elysium for heroes, and the fields of punishment for the wicked. And then there was Tartarus, the deepest pit for the worst enemies of the gods. Riordan incorporates all of these. His description of the security line for the dead, the bored ferryman Charon demanding payment, and the three-headed dog Cerberus are all wonderfully true to the myths. However, he adds his own modern touches, like the easy deathline and Charon complaining about his salary. This mix of faithfulness and humor is what makes his world-building so compelling. Similarly, Mount Olympus isn't on a mountain in Greece anymore. It's now located on the 600th floor of the Empire State Building. This is one of Riordan's most iconic ideas, rooting the divine world firmly in the heart of modern Western civilization, which he argues is the current center of power, just as Greece and Rome once were. The great prophecies are another cornerstone of both the books and the myths. In the Percy Jackson series, a major prophecy drives the entire plot, foretelling that a child of the big three gods, Zeus, Poseidon, or Hades, will make a decision that either saves or destroys Olympus upon turning 16. This concept of destiny and inescapable fate is central to Greek tragedy. Think of Oedipus, who did everything in his power to avoid the prophecy that he would kill his father and marry his mother, only to fulfill it anyway. The ancient Greeks believed that fate was a powerful, unchangeable force. Riordan masterfully uses this theme to create suspense and to explore the idea of choice versus destiny. Does Percy have any real control over his future, or is he just a pawn in a divine game? This question gives the series a philosophical depth that resonates with readers of all ages, just as it did with ancient Greek audiences. The Oracle of Delphi, who delivers these cryptic prophecies in the books from her attic at Camp Half-Blood, is also a direct import from history, where she was the most famous oracle in the ancient world. Now for the heroes and their fatal flaws. This is a concept that Riordan introduces, giving each demigod a personal weakness that can lead to their downfall. For Percy, it's his excessive personal loyalty. He would risk the world to save a friend. For Annabeth, it's hubris or deadly pride. This idea is a fantastic interpretation of Greek heroic tradition. While the term fatal flaw might be a modern way of framing it, the concept itself is very ancient. Greek heroes were never perfect. Heracles was prone to fits of madness, Achilles had his pride and his vulnerable heel, and Odysseus' curiosity often got him and his crew into terrible trouble. These flaws made them more human and their stories more tragic and compelling. By giving his characters a specific, named fatal flaw, Riordan provides a clear framework for their personal struggles and character development, making their internal battles just as exciting as their external ones. It is a brilliant way to teach a core element of Greek tragedy in a way that young readers can easily understand and connect with. Let's not forget the magical items. Percy's sword, Riptide, which disguises itself as a ballpoint pen, is a perfect example of a modern twist on a mythological trope. Heroes in Greek myths almost always had special weapons or gifts from the gods. Perseus had a reflective shield, a helmet of invisibility, and winged sandals. Heracles had his incredible strength and a club made of olive wood. Riptide, or anaklesmos in Greek, is made of celestial bronze, a fictional metal that can harm gods and monsters but not mortals. This is a Riordan invention that solves a practical problem. How can demigods fight monsters in public without hurting innocent bystanders? Annabeth's Yankees cap that grants invisibility is another clever update, taking the idea of the Helm of Hades and giving it a contemporary form. These items feel both legendary and practical, grounding the fantasy in a reality we can imagine. So, how accurate is the series overall? In terms of the core stories, characters, and creatures, Percy Jackson is incredibly faithful to the source material. Rick Riordan, who was a middle school teacher before he became a best-selling author, clearly did his homework. He has a deep love and respect for the myths, and it shows. He captures the spirit of the gods, the terror of the monsters, and the timeless themes of heroism, fate, and family. The biggest changes he makes are in the setting and the tone. By placing this ancient world in modern America and infusing it with humor and the perspective of a sarcastic teenager, he makes it accessible and exciting for a new generation. He isn't just retelling the myths. He's having a conversation with them. He is showing us why these stories have survived for thousands of years, because they speak to fundamental parts of the human experience. In the end, the Percy Jackson series is more than just a fun adventure, it's a gateway. It opened the door to Greek mythology for millions of kids and adults who might have otherwise found the ancient stories dense or intimidating. Riordan proved that these tales of gods and heroes are not just dusty relics of the past. They are living, breathing stories that can be as thrilling and relevant today as they were in ancient Greece. He built a bridge between two worlds and, in doing so, created a modern classic of his own. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to Camp Half-Blood, taking a closer look at the myths behind the magic only deepens the appreciation for this incredible series. It reminds us that a good story is timeless. Thanks so much for watching. What's your favorite mythological moment from the Percy Jackson books? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Until next time, stay curious.